Hey, what are you all doing here? Oh, hey, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. This is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. It's Thursday at 7 p.m. Check your watches. And they call me Chris of the Northwest. And we're going to talk about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the globe. Didn't paste the intro into this like I did the others. So while you're trying to figure out what to do with these extra 2 hours, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
We're all trying to figure it out. It is a new year. It's about, what is it, about the 9th day of Christmas now?
True love gave to me.
Because
is that the Lords a-leaping?
Yeah.
7 Lords a-leaping, 8 ladies dancing, 9 golden rings.
10 Lords a-leaping, right. 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids in milk, and 7 swans of swimming, 6 geese a-laying. Everybody now? Never mind. Anyway, tonight we're not talking about that. We're talking about the evolution of caching technology, which is different than the evolution of dance, which is a great YouTube video from way back in the early days of YouTube.
25 years ago, right?
More or less, yeah. Mm-hmm. So what are the biggest geocaching technology changes that you made this last year? 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Was last year. What about 5 or 10 years ago? What about 20 years ago? Blow the dust off that old GPS and tell us all about it. Pop in the chat. I see it scrolling by there. It's already busy. Listeners, give us your feedback. Stay tuned to find out all the details and all the fun things that we'll chat about eventually. But first, well, it's time to bring in our throwback Tamarin. Some say he honks at every bumper sticker that tells him to. And others say, once his socks get wet, he'll never wear them again. All we know is he's called a land monkey.
I thought I was called the sock monkey. It's what I was called before the show started.
Only if the socks stay dry.
You do have that sock monkey look about you. Yeah,
I do. I love this sweater. All right. Hey, good to be here. Good to be here at 7 p.m. Pacific. Chris, thanks for making that change. I think this is a good change.
It's not all me. The patrons wanted it, right? Well, you guys wanted it. So
when the patrons ask for something and it's something we also want, they will get it.
You better believe that.
There you go.
Right there with our $1 million guarantee.
You got it. Well, hey, speaking of other guarantees, we guarantee that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. And thanks to our corporate Denali level sponsors, the first of whom would be Land Sharks, December 24th through January 3rd. That's tomorrow, folks. It's the Boxing Week sale at Land Sharks, up to 20% off nearly everything in the store and online. So if you haven't taken advantage of that sale, well, the show ends earlier than usual tonight, so you'll have some time to do some online shopping.
Ooh, I like that idea.
There you go. And still, as far as I know, unless I'm misinforming our audience, they still have the get one free holiday trackable tag for every $25 spent at Land Sharks. And if you didn't win a tag, because we haven't been giving any out because people haven't been achieving the milestone we've been asking for, but more on that from Chris later, I'm sure. But if you didn't win a trackable tag, well, you can still get one of your own. They're available online right now at landsharkz.ca. And our other corporate Denali level sponsor is Cachly. And we're going to talk a little bit about Cachly tonight, I'm sure, as we talk about the advances in geocaching technologies. But hey, if you want the latest in geocaching technology for your iPhone, well, folks, that is Cachly. Cachly version 8 on Apple iOS download it from the iOS App Store, or just go to cachly.com and get all the info for yourself. Version 8, that's the one. Don't be
8
late.
is great. Don't be late. 8 is great.
And folks, if you want to know, if you want to know more about supporting this here podcast, regardless of what time it starts, but probably at 7 now, well, head on over and click the Patreon link on the cachingandw.com website.
Why is there a question mark?
I don't know. It's a new year. I thought I'd try something new.
He's more awake at 7 p.m.
Clearly.
Well, folks, after that, it's time for the glow. And some people ask, like caching cans, what is that glow?
Ooh.
Well, the glow is the geocaching log of the week. So whether you read it or whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. Now, send an email or a recording to feedback@cachingandw.com. You can email that. You can call 253-693-TFTC and show us just how you glow. Excuse me
All
while
right.
I turn off my heater and remove this little hiss that I realize is going on now.
Oh, I don't hear it.
Stay warm.
You don't now at all. Now,
If it bothers you.
listen now to the dulcet tones of my voice.
I'm listening.
That's all I got, man.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're just stuck with me reading a glow. This week's glow, well, it almost looks like Boomer, but it's not. It's GCB00 Whiskey Romeo.
Oh,
But at first glance, that almost looks like a Boomer.
Yeah. It's a booer.
Booer. And it says it's from BC Rock Crawler, X Stitcher, and BMXer.
Oop.
So, group find, perhaps? Or did they send it all in? Anyway, the log reads, while doing this cache, a muggle walked up from the dock. He stopped beside us and asked if we were looking for the geocache. We were being pretty stealthy and not really searching as he arrived. In fact, I was taking pics with my phone. Okay, he's either the manager or the owner of the docks, as he stated that he noticed previous cachers looking around his equipment before. So he asked what was going on. He actually looked for the container on his own when there was no one around. He did hint to us that we might have been looking on the wrong side. After he walked away, we found it. He walked back and asked if we found it, naming the style of container. He's okay with it staying there. It also shows that even if you're good at being stealthy, if someone knows there's a geocache there, even a muggle, you're not going to fool them one bit. Geocaching happened because somebody allowed nerds to play outdoors. So there's a geocaching tip of the week here. Sometimes no matter how stealthy you are, you can be asked, are you geocaching?
See how mainstream geocaching has become? Everybody knows about it. And
Yeah.
did you guys happen to look at Wits End's little cameo there of his new glow badge?
What?
Yeah, that's right.
Did you miss it?
If you missed it, you missed it.
I guess.
We previewed it before, and BC Rock Crawler is going to get the first one of the
Hey,
year.
look at that.
Oh, congratulations, BC Rock.
SB Dave wants to know who's going to earn the first glow of 2025.
There you go. BC
Well,
Rock.
thanks for sending that in.
Now, folks, thank you for tuning in tonight.
Those who made it.
Those who made it. And there'll be some, who might catch at the end or have to watch the whole thing back. But
it looks like a pretty good turnout, though. I'm looking
It
at
really
they're
does.
active in the chat. I see a lot of the
Yeah.
regular names.
It's active.
yeah, they must have a little more energy, a little less beer,
Yeah.
and off we go. I don't know if that's going to be a good combination for this podcast. But we are starting at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Kitty Quest says, no, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, wait till we do this in, June and July when it's still daylight out.
Yeah, exactly. Caching Cans, it's so early. This doesn't feel right. It's so early, says Brylang. Doramore wants to know, no, did the hosts make it in time?
Nope.
These are stunt doubles.
Yeah, that's where all the money goes, into stunt doubles.
So the double.
Folks, we want you to join in the chat tonight and use the hashtag tech. Oh, we're done with Dora Moore's quote there. Use the hashtag tech to add something into tonight's topic. And of course, use the hashtag FATAS, as you have already done, to put something in for the after show, which now can be a little more, I don't know, developed, a little more open. We could go on for hours. No? Okay.
Just because you could doesn't mean you should.
Exactly.
Is this a sock puppet show? Yes, White Coaster.
Mm,
We're not the real people. We're just sock puppets.
could be.
Well, we have
Except
done a
Land
puppet
Monkey,
show.
who is a sock
Yeah.
puppet tonight.
It's hard to tell the difference sometimes.
Okay. Another thing we've been doing is I've been pushing for YouTube subscribers, right? You get to certain milestones, it helps the channel, yada, yada, yada. I appreciate you guys. We have been pushing for a while now for the 500 subscriber mark.
And
Well, just like in weeks past, this one is completely different and we hit it. Folks, you got to 500 subscribers. Thank you. Thank you so much. And as promised, we're going to give away a Land Shark tag. So I looked at all the comments on the chat, on the, whatchamacallit, not the chat, on the video, and pulled out the names.
It's because they spin the wheel of random. Yeah.
And then lands on. Should we do a drum roll?
Go ahead.
please.
I don't hear a drum roll.
No drum roll. Okay, I heard a drum roll. I thought it was very good.
Quiet drum roll. It's just a little teeny tiny soft drum roll.
Okay, I'll have to work on my drum roll. But let's insert a drum roll there in
Okay.
post. And the winner is Subway Mark.
Hey, Subway Mark.
So congratulations.
Yeah, that was a pretty question.
What was there a drum roll? Did you guys hear it?
I could just barely make it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really,
Okay,
really.
so there was something there. Okay.
It was faint, but it was there. Anyhow, congratulations, Subway Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks, Carlo.
and thank you, Carlo. Yeah, for your
It's,
congrats.
it's quite an achievement, Chris. You worked hard to get the YouTube version of this podcast up to that, and hopefully it continues on.
Right. We're already past 500. So there you go.
Awesome.
Moving the show earlier was, it may have been for us. It may have been for some patrons. Really, it was for Sprouter so he could actually watch live.
That's it.
That was the real reason.
Well, welcome, Sprouter. Good to have you.
Been a long time.
Yeah. Everybody say welcome to Sprouter and thank him for the show moving. There you go.
Thank you, Sprouter. Hey, we've got some news,
What's
Do
that?
tell.
and maybe we'll break this up, right? Do you see how there's sections there, headers?
Some broken news. Sounds good.
This comes from the Mercury. Is it the Mercury Post? Geocaching is the free vacation that's actually hiding in plain sight. I thought that was a clever headline. Geocaching is an expensive, family-friendly activity, perfect for keeping the kids entertained and exploring the world.
Did you say it's expensive?
Inexpensive.
Oh, inexpensive. Okay, I misheard.
Geocaching is an inexpensive, family-friendly activity, perfect for keeping the kids entertained and exploring the world. I could read it again.
Please do.
I'm getting kind of good at it.
Yeah, practice
Well,
makes
go on.
perfect.
This global treasure hunt involves finding hidden containers using a smartphone and a pen, because the pen will actually point you to the container when you spin it on the ground.
Oh, I've been doing it wrong.
That's what I figured out.
Okay.
With optional trinkets for trading. It's a simple, fun way to spark curiosity and adventure.
Those caching is totally inexpensive. Yeah. And throwback to a previous GIF event. Geocaching is free?
Question mark.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Dormore confirms we all know geocaching is free.
That's right.
So Yeah, you know, those geocaches, well, they're hidden everywhere. It says so right here in the show notes. It's hidden everywhere from iconic landmarks and scenic trails to urban neighborhoods. Whether you're traveling abroad or staying local, geocaching lets you discover new places and see familiar ones in a fresh light.
Only if you have good batteries.
Yes, yes. And speaking of geocaching being free, well, it's at least budget friendly.
Mhm.
Basic memberships and apps are free. Sure, they are. But I mean, who wants to be basic? All you need is a phone and a pen. It's a great way to enjoy affordable outings without sacrificing fun and adventure. But of course, I mean, honestly, $40 US a year, that's,
It's
less
not
than
bad at all.
$4 a month.
Is that
You're right.
basic? The beginner's all-purpose symbolic instructional code?
Yes. that's
Something like that.
exactly what it is.
So you're saying the premium geocaching membership is less expensive than a pumpkin spice latte?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Per
What a deal.
month. Like if you can afford one PSL per month, you can afford a premium geocaching membership. But then you have to give up that PSL.
And that's
There's-
really not a loss at all.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
There you go.
If you're buying a pumpkin spice latte on a regular basis, you and I have different tastes.
Different life experience. Brian did the math. 11 cents per day. There you go.
Hey, there you go.
That's much cheaper than a pumpkin spice latte.
And,
I mean,
and
if you
just
spread
under-
one out over a year, you can do
Yeah. I mean, it's like $2 a fine for me.
Oh, Keith says I used to fly radio control planes. Geocaching is way cheaper than that.
I did radio control cars because when you crash them, when they flip over, they're not as expensive usually to
And they're
repair.
easier to find,
Damage.
Yeah.
hopefully.
Easy.
Okay,
Yeah.
back to the article.
Yes.
Geocaching also offers social opportunities through events and themed adventures, like public art tours and historical explorations. These gatherings provide a chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts while learning about the world around you.
Indeed. IHAM was doing some straightening in the ham shack yesterday. Came across his first GPS. It was an old Magellan and only went out to 2 decimal places.
Wow.
I knew he was going to talk about that one that goes
That's
out to
cool.
2 decimal places. He
Really?
developed his geosense on
Do
that
you
one.
need any more than that, really? Sometimes 3 or 4 decimal places isn't enough because
No.
cache owner published some
That's
wacky
what-
off-band coordinates.
Well, I was
And
gonna
they
say,
do
it
it on
doesn't matter it doesn't matter if the coordinates are
Right?
not aligned with the ones you're using. How's that?
That's right.
Well, and since we're talking about tech changing over the years,
Jess?
when I started caching, back when I started in my early days of caching, we didn't have this digital stuff, digital souvenirs, Adventure Lab caches, but they got them now. And you
Yep.
can travel bugs across the globe. These are unique features that make geocaching an engaging and memorable experience for all ages, even old guys like me.
Just stay off your lawn.
That's right.
Just remember to take your teeth when you go out geocaching.
Okay.
Hey,
Hey,
guess who forgot about the time change? Good evening from Arizona.
well, you're here, so
Just-
welcome.
You didn't totally
Finding
forget.
Our way.
That's right.
Well, I mean, he had a time change and a daylight savings not change.
Oh yeah.
So
That's good.
What to do?
Boo,
I know.
daylight saving.
now, in an ongoing saga on the YouTube page from the last
Mhm.
couple of episodes, we've learned about the adventures of Starcacher. He went down to Kings Island for the holidays, and you know what? I don't know if he's still there, but here's what he said a couple of days ago. I've missed the live show 2 weeks in a row. This week, it was just because the week was hectic and the normal activities were disrupted enough that I just forgot about it. You read my YouTube comment from the prior week at why I missed that show. FYI, the Kings Island Winterfest activities that were held from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. nightly, which meant that I had most of the daylight or daytime to geocache. Winterfest, and we asked, what is Winterfest, right? It's a Christmas-centric celebration that also celebrates other winter activities and other winter holidays. They have festive lights and Christmas music everywhere, holiday decor, including many giant Christmas trees, live entertainment shows, parades, special food and drink items. I'm sure they either had cinnamon or pumpkin spice in all of those special food items.
Probably.
And of course, many of the rides are operating, including the 4 roller coasters, weather permitting. Riding coasters in 32-degree temps can be a bit chilly, but it was great fun to go on my last coaster fix for the year. And for this show's theme, I do not have a particular favorite find this year, but this was last show, by the
Yeah, we
way,
talked about
favorite
that. Yeah.
finds of the year. But I had several favorite geocaching trips. These include trips to Kings Island with caching before and after the amusement park hours, a trip to mid-Michigan to do almost every cache type on Leap Day, and a trip to the Cleveland area. See, now I'm going to interject. Nobody wants to stay in Cleveland, but it's not a bad place to visit.
Is that the mistake on the lake?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
And an event at 1:30 a.m. ending at 3:30 a.m. that celebrated the beginning of daylight saving. And I found many challenge caches in that area, and I worked a couple of years to qualify. The trip to watch the total solar eclipse, finding caches in that park during the partial phases. Oh, that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the Midwest Geocache or Midwest Geo Bash 5-day mega event with all the associated activities and themed on-site events. Midwest Geo Bash is likely my favorite event each year. I recently placed a virtual reward along with a associated adventure lab that I had mentioned on the previous show. That was my favorite hide. So since next week you are 2 hours earlier, I hope I remember to join live. The best part of the show is that I will no longer be joining from the future.
Well, I do see Start Cashier in the chat, so welcome. Glad you're here. Glad the rest of you all are here too.
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't for Sprout, or maybe it was for geocaches that we changed the time of the show so she can stick to her regular bedtime.
Yeah. Well,
So
she's,
Sprouter's out, Gia's in. Is that what?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
she's probably pretty tired carrying that Swiss Army knife around.
That's
You see the size of that thing?
You got to have a pocket for that.
I was just gonna say, how big are her pockets? Yeah, it's crazy.
That's going to take the whole Swiss Army.
Yeah. Huh. Hey, in case others were as curious as I was, while you were sharing that story from Start Casher, I posted in the chat there the link to the Winterfest on Kings Island. So that looks pretty neat.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
We have a water park here in the area with also roller coasters in it, Wild Waves for those who know, and they're open with Halloween themed and Christmas themed events. So that's a lot of fun. Now, the water slides, they're not going to be open in the winter. I'm just saying, it's too
You're
cold.
welcome.
Yeah. unless you've got a full dry suit, it's not enjoyable.
Well, I mean,
But
it's the Pacific
roller
Northwest. We
coasters-
could have them open on here.
Yeah.
Exactly. I guess the water temperature would be about the same as it was in the summer around here in the sound.
Yeah, it's if you're in the water, it's not bad. It's when you come out and you're dripping and standing in line for the next slide that the thermal drop in your body temperature could be dangerous to your health.
Even in the summer, you see kids shivering,
Yeah.
and turning blue because
True.
it doesn't get that warm here often.
because it's the Northwest.
It's the
kinda-
Northwest.
It's like a 10 degrees variance in temperature.
Maybe it wasn't geocaches. Maybe it was G-Niece we moved up the time for.
Oh, so Gia is out, Jerry's in.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. I got here. I just got here, but it's great to have you on before my bedtime.
Great to have you on before your bedtime too.
So let's talk about the tech changes in geocaching in the last 25 years. Now, it's not quite 25, but we can round up to that number for this occasion.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to give you a chance to tell us about your old school geocaching kit and how it's changed over the years.
Fun.
All right. Well, things got off and to a great start when they threw the big blue switch. Flipped it off, actually.
Oh.
They disabled selective availability. See, GPS was around, but for the longest time, it was restricted to military and government and those kind of people that they got the very precise measurements. The rest of it just kind of got a, yeah, you're in the U.S. Um,
You could probably tell what state you were in.
maybe, yeah, it was that, but it certainly
As long as it wasn't Rhode Island. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's true.
it
You could
wasn't
be in any one of 3 states.
precise enough to do any driving navigation or anything like that. So it is arguably the only great thing to come out of the Clinton administration. And when that happened, Dave Ulmer down in the Portland area said, hey, I think it might be fun to go hide he called it a GPS stash out in the woods and post the coordinates online. And maybe somebody will track it down someday.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the thing is that that time when it all got started, it was a small group of people, right? So Dave had hidden some coordinates on sci.geo.satellite-nav.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, right. It was one of those
For the 6 people that had,
Right.
GPSs
right
at the time.
who happened to A, have GPSs, B, also happened to be a member of this
Mhm.
chat group, right? Like
Yeah.
it was not a huge number of people, but one of those people was Mike Teague. And Mike noticed that there was a handful of people who were getting into this and hiding their own and then sharing their coordinates. So Mike decided to be a good guy and started collecting all those other coordinates from the different stashes and had them initially on his own personal webpage. But he soon started a mailing list called GPS Stash Hunt.
A mailing list. Just
A
think
mailing
about that
list,
for a
yeah.
moment.
Yes.
Right. So this is where we're starting from in early 2000. Yeah, when you think about 25 years, how far we've come with this game for sure. But the small pool of people who understood the coordinate system had access to a handheld or a GPSR receiver, maybe not even handheld.
Right.
Which end I'm looking forward to hearing about your early inventions. But that's how it started out. Was Mike Teague picking up the standard and moving things forward.
Then in May 30th of that year of 2000, Matt Stum coins the term geocaching.
There you
September 2000, Mike passes the torch to Jeremy Irish, who takes 75 of the known geocaches and puts them onto a single website.
Yeah.
75, folks.
75.
You can find that in a day now.
go. Yeah, you can.
Isn't that
Or-
amazing?
Or
Not
3
that
years.
first 75 you couldn't find in a day though.
No. I don't know if, I think of those first 75, how many are still around? And
That'd
how
be
many
interesting
people
to
found them
check,
all?
yeah. Yeah.
That would be something. That'd be a new
Pretty
challenge.
interesting, Yeah.
Rumor has it Jeremy Irish looked at the list and said, that's not trash, it's a geocache.
Yeah.
No, he didn't say that. Never mind. But he did decide that after all the increased traffic from Slashdot, well, the ongoing management of the website is quickly going to grow out of the lone computer on his home DSL line. So in late 2000, he partnered with Elias Alvord and Brian Roth, 2 co-workers at Sunrise Identity, to start a new company called Groundspeak Inc. Now, originally it was called Grounded Inc. And with the proceeds of sales from a gross of geocaching t-shirts, they moved the machines into a hosted environment in downtown Seattle.
Those shirts were gross.
Yeah,
A number.
it's
Every one of them?
144 if anybody's wondering. Yeah, or 12 dozen to you and me. Now, the founders continued to work for Sunrise Identity while managing the new company and the website in their off hours. But you know how geocaching grows in popularity. After several years of working on that website, Jeremy and Elias were able to raise enough through premium memberships to make Groundspeak a full-time job. So in late 2005, Brian Roth finally became a full-time employee at the company. Jeremy Irish, Elias Alvord, and Brian Roth continue to own and operate the website today. They're supported by a small team of Groundspeak lackeys that's getting larger all the time, that team.
Yeah.
Over 100 geocaching volunteers worldwide. Does anybody know any geocaching volunteers?
Nope.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
The
it's funny. I think so. So I think the article, well, I think I know the article that we grabbed some of these stats from is a bit dated.
Yeah.
So It's no longer a small team of groundspeak. Like it's a team of over 100 groundspeak lackeys now.
Yeah, our chat lackey, our research department says about 400, or is that 400 volunteers?
Yeah,
So-
worldwide. But very cool. Yeah, very
So-
cool. So that's kind of neat, though, right? To get that.
Yep.
That history of how it all sort of came to be.
And I used to work in the building that hosted those servers.
Did you?
Yeah, they were there at Como Plaza.
Oh, I didn't know that's the building they
Yeah.
were in originally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In the
I
basement.
think they might still be. There's a huge data center in that plaza.
Oh, cool.
The other building is 5 stories, 6 stories of building, and I think I've only ever seen 3 employees in the whole thing.
Wow. There you go. Well,
Hold on here. Let's see.
Yeah,
I'm going to go and read some comments here.
yeah,
as
because we've got a lot of people
interject,
talking
right?
about their initial tech. That's kind of cool.
So Keats writes, back in the day, I remember when geocachers actually wrote a story how they got to the cache in the log.
Yeah,
Now it's just signatures and dates,
right.
and maybe something online. I'll add.
Yeah. Very cool. Oh, yeah. I was just gonna say,
There you go.
JT Coffee is correcting us the most up to date number, and I will take JT Coffee's info over just about anybody's on this.
Pretty much.
Approximately 360 volunteers worldwide. So thank you very much.
That rounds up to 400 to the nearest 100.
There you go. That's awesome.
Dora Moore says, you want to read this, Wits End,
Oh, yeah.
in your old man voice?
And the old man, back in my day, we had to hike 2 hours barefoot in the snow, uphill both ways to find a geocache.
Exactly.
Quit your yammering out there.
You with these drive-by geocaches, come on. Keats also says, I started with a lime green Garmin Gecko.
Hmm.
I don't remember that model. But anyway, we'll go on. I used to spend hours writing down the names, coordinates, and hints on a sheet of paper before I went out on a caching trip.
Yeah,
Oh, yes. I remember that well.
I printed out and cached by printout from my early days quite a bit.
That purveyor of fine facts, JT Coffee, says, definitely it was a yellow Etrex for me. 2 of them. One where we were going, then another for our next destination because it took so long for them to connect the satellite.
Yes,
That's
sometimes
awesome.
that took a while.
I remember driving around. I was like, oh, I lost a satellite. Hold on. I have to sit here for 15 minutes and let this thing reorient. I had the blue
Wow.
Etrex.
I had our first GPS was an Etrex 30, which clearly was much better than the old yellow models.
Yeah. Gary says, I started with an Explorers 300 and had to toggle to enter each long and lat.
Ooh,
Printed lots of cache pages.
yes, I'm sure.
Yep. I had a binder in the car of caches in the city, right? So when I'm out and about, I'm like, I wonder if I'm near something. Oh, look at this. And again, you spend 15 minutes, going through that. Yeah, that's not, I could do this one. Let me read about it first.
There's an
Yep.
interesting technology swap out here from Cache Canada. They started with Garmin Nuvi
Mm-hmm.
and then progressed to a Dakota. So the Nuvi, for those who maybe aren't familiar with the different model names of the Garmin devices, if I'm not mistaken, because I have one as well, the Nuvi is the in-vehicle model. So it's it's the size of a small computer tablet,
Oh yeah,
much thicker, and usually it's sort of a dash on it. But you could take it and it'll run off battery for a little while, so you could use it to navigate your drive and then hold it in your hands to kind of get yourself to ground zero.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have any trails on it.
right.
Right.
Yeah, I had a Nuvi in the car for a while.
I did too. And the Dakota is the evolution of the Nuvi. It's a combination of the Nuvi style software on a handheld.
Okay. I didn't know
It
that.
actually will rotate its screen.
Interesting. That
So you
could be
can mount
annoying.
it
Yeah,
horizontally in the car.
Or if you're walking and your hand turns and the screen flips, you go, "Darn, did you stop doing that?"
I turned that off on my phone.
Yes.
UDAC says she started with the yellow Etrex.
Cool.
I guess just one.
I remember there was a multi or mystery in Tacoma there that you and I found early on. We actually had to call a phone number And I don't know if it was in a voicemail greeting or somebody, but yeah. And it was the first cache I ever remember doing that was in somebody's front yard. And so they gave you the coordinates. I guess they wanted to know who was going to come look. So you had to call the phone number to get the final coordinates. And we got there, and it was remember being a dreary, foggy, overcast day, and our GPSs just wouldn't find satellites. And we're going, he came out and chatted with us, and we talked. It's like, yeah, we'll look for it in a while, but it doesn't know where we are yet.
I just know it's somewhere at this corner. It could be, 600 feet either way.
Yeah.
UDAC says, yes, just one, because my muggle didn't cache.
Oh,
So, so it was harder to justify the second GPS, I guess. That's funny.
Okay. Land Monkey, I'm sorry I interrupted you with the show notes.
Oh, that's quite all right. No, I thought it's good. We'll definitely keep just jumping in and pulling some of the fun facts coming in from the audience. Tons of history of GPS models going on.
yeah, they're more active 2 hours earlier too.
Yeah, exactly. Keep it going, guys. Keep it going. But in 2002, another big technology change in the game, the introduction of GPX files, standardized format for geocache data. It revolutionized the game by allowing users to download cache data directly to their GPS devices. No more toggling to enter long and lat. This streamlined the process, of course, and eliminated the need to manually enter the coordinates. So yeah, GPX files 2000. I didn't realize it was way back in 2002. So yeah, that's huge, huge change.
I remember it, I thought, oh, that was GPX files came out with geocaching. That's what I would have said.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
I remember it took me a little bit to get my blue Garmin, but I also got the data cable for it, the serial cable, right?
Oh,
Which
yeah.
you can't even get a serial port anymore.
No.
Right.
And there through, what was it? I used GSAC to actually load caches onto it. And there were several GSAC macros that I could take and kind of abbreviate the name and then put in the difficulty and type, or type of geocache and difficulty, terrain rating, other things like that, right there in the title, so you could see it easier. Let's see. Keith says, remember when triangulation was a thing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Number 1 and number 2 mistakes by geocachers: never read the cache pages and forget a pen.
Yes.
Those are definitely big mistakes.
And they haven't changed. Jeannie says, I got my first auto GPS so I could load more caches without printing out lots of pages. Got for my wife so she could see all the info. That was the reason. He had a grin on there. Yes. Yeah. He got it for her. So
Completely selfless.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Love it.
Oh, let's see. Who was it? Was it was Jeannie's that we moved the show up for? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was UDAC who is enjoying the earlier time slot. So that's why we moved the show up. It was for UDAC.
So folks, if you haven't picked up on how this works, be the last person tonight to compliment Chris about moving the show time up, and it'll be done for you. So this is just going to be a rolling thing.
So shall it be written, so shall it be done.
Just finding our way. Started with the yellow E-Trex, but quickly upgraded to a DeLorem PN60. I still default to a PN60, but they're getting harder to find, even on eBay. That was a great GPS back in the day.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever used a dedicated GPS like that.
Sprouter, who I thought maybe we moved the time up earlier for him, but that wasn't the case. Several people ago. So, I remember writing down all the caches. I was going to find that. I was going to find in that day on a 3x5 notebook. And then I relied on my handy E-Trex to get me there. Nice.
We know someone else who relies on a notebook for their caching.
That's right.
What? Notebooks and caches?
I like the Doramore, when we used to write stories in the log. She says, it's hard to write a story on a nano log.
It's hard, but not impossible.
You could do it.
Yeah.
Get a fresh one and a mechanical pencil. You should be fine.
Yeah.
And the cache owner will hate you.
As will everyone who comes after you.
Okay, let's move
Okay.
on. What are we?
Well, maybe these are in slightly different orders. Jim, instead of
You're right.
Yeah, go ahead and jump into that.
Well, yeah. Why don't you talk about this next one here, the rise of the specific GPS device?
Well, Garmin and Magellan, who made a lot of the units that people are talking about in the chat, they began creating geocaching specific GPS units featuring preloaded cache information, paperless caching capabilities, and user-friendly interfaces tailored to geocachers.
yeah, it was a game changer when that. So combine the GPX files
Right?
with geocaching specific GPS devices. Well, now you've stopped the need to print out the pages and take them with you. You've actually you can take all the information that's on the website,
Mm-hmm.
not all of it, most of it, translate it into the GPS device in your hand and go out in the field like that. I mean, that was a game changer right there.
Mhm.
And that's about the time I started caching, is in 2004. I didn't have one of those fancy dedicated units that I drooled over somebody else having or other people having. I had a Pocket PC, if you remember those. It's quite the step up from my old Palm Pilot, which I learned the graffiti alphabet to interface with. But the Dell Axim was running Windows CE, is that right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I would get the GPX files once a week. They came in my email, save them to a folder. I had a batch file because there was a script that I had downloaded that would convert GPX files to Mapopolis map files, because I really liked the program Mapopolis on my Dell Axim. And I had a dash that was on the cradle that was on the dash of my car. I know where it is. It's packed in a box still from my move. I can't grab it right now, but it looked similar to this one.
Oh yes.
That's one I found online, and you would mount it on the dash of your car like that, so that the cigarette lighter would power your Pocket PC, and it had I call it a GPS mouse. It was a serial device that plugged into that right through it's not an RJ45, but it's the small RJ11 phone type
Mhm.
Right.
modular connector. And then I decided, well, I need to cut the cable to this thing and splice in a little battery pack of AA's so I can pull it out of the car and go out on the trail with it. So that was the kludgy mess of cables and adapters and junk that I started geocaching with.
That's amazing.
About that time. But yeah, Mapopolis was a great program.
Mhm.
I used it to navigate just for my driving, and it would put icons on the map screen. I think it even had a different icon for a different cache type of
It
a
did.
traditional or
Yep.
multi or whatever. And it's great. You could be driving and go, hey, there's a cache right here. Let's pull over.
You had to have the batteries because the mouse GPS was designed
Right.
to be run off the car at all times.
Yeah. The Axum would last fine
Mhm.
when you got out of the car. But you do, and then I moved up to a Bluetooth one that charged via USB, so I could then take just the Axum and the Bluetooth GPS, which I thought was a huge step up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In fact, what was great about it is you could hold the GPS out in the open and still hold the Axum down where you could read the screen.
Didn't you put it under your hat?
I think I put it under my hat one time. Yeah, I put it up on top of my head.
Closer to the satellite.
Yeah, it was magnet stuck to the steel plate up there just fine. But yeah, that was my 2004 era, 2004, 2005 caching experience, along with, like a lot of people have said, a lot of printed geocache pages, which I also found some of those just this past weekend. I was sorting some boxes in the garage, and I said, look at that. There's some, I'll try to remember to bring them in. Maybe we'll do a patron special with show
Ooh,
and tell of old junk, because who doesn't want to see my old garbage?
that's right.
Right.
And what map website did you used to use back in the day to get there?
Well, you mean on the web page, or
No,
just
I mean,
Mapopolis on the?
right, but what was the big web-based mapping program at the time before Google?
Well, there was
Maps?
MapQuest.
You MapQuest it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or Microsoft Streets and Trips.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow. Yeah.
Which is still used for
Cash
the cash
machines?
machines, which are happening this weekend. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, I can't make it, but have fun if you're going. And yeah, MapQuest was a great one.
That's funny.
Well, it was the best we had.
There you go.
There you
See, throwing it out there, MapQuest. Thank
Yeah.
you, just Carlo. And Keats. Yep, you guys were on it.
Keats is too young to remember MapQuest.
Land Monkey.
Yeah.
This next section has my name on it, but I yield my time to you.
Because it seems to have my name all over it.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, 2004, there was JT Coffee's also chiming in on the MapQuest. 2004, there was another major milestone. I would argue the most important thing that ever happened to the game of geocaching. And that was the work with the Geological Society of America to introduce Earth
Dun,
caches.
dun, dun.
Earth caches. That's right. The geocache type that focuses on earth science and education was introduced in partnership with the GSA, using technology to provide geocachers with learning opportunities tied to specific natural sites, requiring answers to geology-related questions in as opposed to or instead of a physical container. And best thing that ever happened to the game happened in 2004.
Well, soon after that,
Yeah.
In
Does anything else matter after that? Sorry.
Carlos throws in. Did we discuss how I'm still salty that the official GC app was $9.99 for purchase when all others were 99 cents? Well,
Did anybody find out if that was a typo? Maybe.
people paid it. The geocaching classic app was developed in 2008, right about with the iPhone there, and it was retired. Did you know this? March 23rd, 2017.
Never even got to be double digits.
I know, it was so young.
By the way, Sprouter says Earth Cache is his favorite, so
What?
he's trying to suck up to Land Monkey, I think, for some reason. He's gonna ask you a favor next. Just watch.
Oh, hey, I forgot about the Thomas guides.
I loved the Thomas guides. I grew up
didn't have
with
one.
Thomas guides.
I was jealous of people who had the, telephone size book in their back seat to get around.
Growing up, we had Thomas guides, and I lived on page 71, grid C5 or something like that. I don't know exactly what it was.
Of course you did.
But my mom navigated. My dad always did the driving. My mom always navigated, and she could use a Thomas guide like nobody's business. She referred to it as the City Bible.
Okay.
And yeah, when I first moved to Seattle Tacoma area, I went and bought Snohomish King and Pierce County 3-county Thomas guide, and it was great.
Nice.
I guess the equivalent for us up here in British Columbia was the BC Backroads map books and guides, which has now, that company's expanded quite a bit, and they've quite a long time ago they moved to digital, so you could just get the entire thing on a chip to put into your GPSR. But yeah, equivalent, and I still love. They still make the books, and I love them. They're the ring bound on the waterproof paper, so
Yep.
They just flip around really
Flip 'em
easy.
back, yeah.
Yeah, love them. Absolutely love that.
The company I worked for in Los Angeles had a fleet of delivery trucks, and they had a huge wall poster that was the entire Thomas guide map with all the grids marked as page numbers. So you could look at this huge display. Okay, I'm going there to there, and I need to start at page 38 and go to page 96, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, BC Backroads map books used to have a geo tour across all British Columbia. We were brag moment here. Mrs. Monkey and I were the third people to complete that geo tour.
Really?
And you had to drive all over BC to get to the various caches. That was a lot of fun.
Nice. Back to our list for a moment, and let's talk about Cachely, shall we?
We shall.
Cachely,
the geocaching app. Oh, thank you very much.
Where did that come from? Oh, look at that.
Oh, it's voice activated. Sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Good.
The geocaching logo there. There we go. It was launched December 2015 as a response to the developer, that's Nick Hubbard's, disappointment with the capabilities of geocaching apps that were available for iOS.
Well, apparently took off because in 2017 they retired the Geocaching Classic app. So.
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah, I love that as a response to Nick's disappointment with the capabilities. Like, these suck.
I can do better than this.
Touche.
Yeah.
What other geocaching apps did we use? Was there like GeoCube?
There was so many. Like there's a whole rush of them that came
Yeah.
out around the same time, and most of them
Yeah.
died off.
I don't know. I have yet to find anybody else that cached with Mapopolis though. So
You're unique in that. I didn't even take it on as highly as you did.
unique in a lot of ways, but we won't go into that tonight.
Well, maybe other folks in the chat can throw out different apps that you've used over the years and what you're using today. Certainly if you're on Android, you're probably not using Cachely, but we hope that if you're on iPhone, you are.
I bet Nick also has $1 million guarantee.
Yep.
What's
I think
that?
he does.
With Cachely. You give him $1 million, he'll put it on Android.
I think we even discussed that when he was on the show once. Yes.
Let's see. At least consider $1 million. Yeah.
Jump. He'll consider it. Oh, let's stay into the apps for a moment.
Sure.
Geocaching Intro, that baby app that was developed and introduced to the world in 2013, was all grown up in March 2016. And they added a host of great features to the app for all players. So in March 2016, they added lists, and that made the Geocaching Intro officially outgrow its name, and it just became as we know it, the Geocachinger app. That's right.
That is
Geocachinger.
That is what we call it.
Geocaching with an R.
So it's Geocachinger.
So 2016 is when the official Geocachinger app came out, and it's been improved ever since.
Wow. Again, that seems so long ago, eh?
Yeah.
It really does, doesn't it?
Well, you talked about apps. There's this monkey guy that's using GC Droid. Seaback Tribe says, I'm used CGO, but I'm currently using GeoGo.
Yeah, another good one.
And Geocaches says that TB Scan changed my life. I pay it forward by telling others who are painstakingly writing down each trackable code.
Or doing like Mrs. Monkey always forgets that we have TB Scan on the phone. And so she takes photos of every single one and then later scrolls through all the photos and then types them in. I'm like, just use TB Scan.
TB Scan should look, you can bring those photos into TB Scan and it will find the
interesting. I hadn't tried that.
It'll find the code off of the photo.
But she doesn't need to do that.
Well, yes and no.
TB Scan, like right at the start.
Right. It depends on the lighting to me, right? Sometimes, if they're on the table, you can so.
But honestly, I found in the last couple of years that some of they've obviously done some OCR upgrades with it because it's gotten way, way better.
Well, I remember we interviewed the developer, I guess, the author of TB Scan, and he didn't like any of the OCR software that was out there, so he developed his own.
Oh, there you go.
Wow. And I want to say he was 18 or younger. I think he was younger than 18.
Oh my gosh.
And clearly that's
this now. Okay, yeah.
So
clearly that's an Android app.
Yes. No, it's both.
Is it both? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up for my Android. I do know that Cachely also does the same function because I went to a Solstice event and there were some trackables on the table and I had my work iPhone with me that I've loaded Cachely on and scanned a couple trackables there too.
There you go. Cachely does it. GeoGo does it.
Okay.
Yeah, there are several now that have the scanner built in.
Another thing, and we didn't capture the date of when this came in, but another thing that happened around this time, probably a little bit, actually, definitely earlier in 2014, was the introduction of Where It Goes, the Where It Goes cartridge, that originally you could play on, when we talked about
Pocket PC.
geocaching. Yeah, well, and geocaching enabled GPSRs, Garmin's, you could play where it goes on there. And yes, Pocket PC was developed on the Pocket PC platform. And I guess I'm bringing it up now because also some of these newer apps are also including Where I Go players
Mhm.
into these apps as well, which is again a huge feature because there's lots of them out there.
Yeah, and so nice that you're on the web page. Oh, I've got to go download this. Well, let me just download it into the app I'm already in, and off
Yeah.
we go.
Right? Yeah, that's been a
Yeah.
game changer as well.
I remember doing a Where I Go on my blue Garmin. It was in uh
San Antonio.
San Antonio. Thank you. Thank you. How did you know where I was? I've told the story before once or twice, right?
I was the phone a friend on some caches down in
Yeah,
the webcam down there.
for the
so-
webcam where I nearly had my skin sizzled off of me. But the Where I Go would crash on occasion, and you had to go back and walk it all over again.
Mm.
Right.
Like, come on, I got one stop to go. Don't stop now. Anyway, that was interesting. And then, you put it on an emulator or do it on the Pocket PC, and it was so much more stable. So let's see. Do we have some more here? Carlos loves Cashly. I declared to my Muggle girlfriend that I'll be using Cashly primarily in 2025 for my iPhone 13 Pro named Ultron.
that may not be a good thing to name your phone, but
Genius
Better than naming your
Cashly
girlfriend Ultron, I suppose.
back in the day, and today he uses GeoGo.
Okay. Gary said geocaching toolkit is great.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Another good one to have for sure, especially for field puzzles and multis and things like that. You looking for anything else, Chris?
Well, let's see. Try GC Droid, but you have to pay now.
Yeah.
That was in response to Keats saying that can't seem to play Where I Goes from
Oh,
Android.
gotcha.
Tried the Where You Go app and it glitches out. So
Yeah, I use GC Droid to play Where I Goes, and it works like a charm. I rarely have problems.
Iham says, when I worked at Fry's, we sold a Garmin PDA that had some geocaching features built in.
okay.
That's
I remember
interesting.
the Garmin PDA.
Personal display of affection.
Yeah, maybe.
I
Public
love you,
display
Garmin.
affection.
And just to throw it in there, if you're in Arizona, Fry's is a grocery store. Same logo, same company. Up here, we know them only as electronics.
And if you're in Canada, it's what you get with your burger.
Would you like an electronics store with that? Yes, GeoGo has the ability to play Where I Goes and has a TB scanner built in.
There you go. So
Hey,
also a pretty good app.
There's 3 Garmin IQ PDAs
Ooh.
left 3 left in stock if you order soon at Amazon.
Oh, well, I'll do it right now. $129.
How can you go wrong with that, right?
Oh man, almost low enough price just to do it, just to
Just an
see
impulse
what
buy.
it's like.
Just show up at your next outing. Okay, hold on. I have
Are you
this.
kidding? Show up
too.
at work. Everybody's got their laptops and their iPhones. You pull that out. Like, oh, hold on, I'm taking notes. Give me a moment. You
It has
guys
a
slow
speaker
down.
for voice guidance commands,
Ooh,
an MP3 player, and message playback.
and Palm OS.
Hey, then it would recognize the Palm writing system that I used to be able to do.
Yeah, it's got the Palm OS scratch pad down there, whatever they call the.
Oh
the
yeah,
system. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Love it.
Here, I'll zoom in for you.
Ooh,
That one.
There you go.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You had letters on one side, numbers on the other.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's triggering all kind of memories.
It's certainly a trigger. Yeah.
Just the fact that it has a stylus. How many devices nowadays have a stylus? And
Well, some of the new phones are coming with stylus
Yeah.
that slide
Oddly
in.
enough, yeah. Well, I think stylus is, if you're in graphic design,
Oh, yeah.
stylus has never gone away. It's always been a useful tool.
No, and the tablets, people love their stylus, but for phones, not so much. There are the rare occasions. Okay, last one we want to talk about is
Yes.
way back in 2019. You know where you were?
That
New
was in
Year's
the
Day
before
2019.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Remember when you could go out and do things and you never had to worry about it? Yeah,
Yeah.
those times. Adventure labs were introduced to play in a new way using a dedicated app to create location-based experiences with interactive storytelling.
It's funny. I thought they had come out earlier than that. So,
Well, they were, but there you had to use remember when you had to go to the website? And the web you'd go to a website, you'd enter in the information, it would pop up them, and it had arrow on the website, and that never with my phone never kept up right. You'd walk past and then it would turn around. Oh, it's 300 feet
okay.
back because
Yes,
now it
I'm
just
vaguely
updated.
recalling this now. Yes. Okay. Wow. But yeah, so there you go. Adventure Labs, the year before everything changed.
Mhm.
And then
And then after 2020, there was no new technological advancement ever.
nope,
No.
that's been it.
Gary says, before coughing was banned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or at least, you wouldn't be ostracized for coughing.
Yeah, you go somewhere and you're like, oh, I got a little scratch in my throat. Well, I better not go in. People are going to think I'm sick. I'm
Yeah.
not.
Never
Oh,
swallow the wrong way.
That's
Yeah.
right.
My goodness, I was commuting by bus in the middle of all that when it started, and somebody on the bus coughed. Oh, you'd have thought they were going to throw them off on the freeway or something. It's just the looks people would shoot at somebody. Yeah, that was a different world.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We've had a run through the history of geocaching technologies up to 2019, up to 2020, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
And heard from lots of you about the technology you started with and what you're using today. It's been fun. This has been a really
Love it.
interesting little roll through history to start the year off.
Imagine what we'll use 25 years from now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and just, what we're using today, there were some comments I meant to get back to that people have only started with phones.
Right.
I wanted to throw those in a little later. Caching can'ts. I've always used a phone for geocaching.
And a lot of people have.
I think just Carlo as well has only ever used a phone.
Mhm.
There you go.
From iPhone 11 to iPhone 15.
But he did buy a used Garmin eTrex 20. There you go.
Well, I was going to say, and I think it does definitely lower the barriers for entry because most people already have a smartphone.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that was the big draw of the geocaching app in 2008 is like, oh, you're getting this new smartphone. Look at what you can do. So Riley says, I ditched my GPSR in favor of a smartphone a year or so after starting geocaching. It's 2012, 2013 ish.
Yeah. Yeah. We basically only cache by phone now. The apps and the ability to use the phones in offline areas have gotten
Yes.
significantly better to
Yes.
make that a possibility. Cache Canada says they didn't use a phone to start because they had a BlackBerry. I started geocaching on a BlackBerry. We started on our eTrex 30, and I was also using a BlackBerry. I can't not remember the name of the app, but I was using a BlackBerry with a very kludgy geocaching app.
Hey, I've still got that Amazon page up. There are 3 Garmin IQs left in stock, and there are 3 hosts. So if somebody's looking for a late gift for never mind.
Maybe Doramore is going to go get him because her GPSR works way better than her phone and is waterproof. Are those Garmin PDAs waterproof?
Sure. My friend Ziploc says they are.
Awesome.
Hawaiian Miley, so nice to see you. We're just about done. You'll be in for the after show.
Just in time for the after show.
And
Exactly.
folks, thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
We did, and we're so glad that you joined us at the new regular time of 7 p.m. on Thursdays. And we also want to take a moment to thank Land Sharks and Cashly, both of whom we've talked about earlier in this podcast, our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store, and Cashly is the geocaching app for iOS. We want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Landsharks, Cashly, Cool Cow Cachers, and just hot off the presses joining the show, Hawaiian Miley.
Welcome. Better late than never.
She showed up just in time to hear us
That's
talk
right.
about her. There you go. If you want to know Morse, then you're going to have to learn that code. But if you want to know more about supporting this show, click the Patreon link on the cachingandw.com website.
Yeah, just like M-Nerve did.
And Ken.
And GeoVerter.
And Greenwords.
Genies.
Dora Moore.
Gas Station Tuna.
GeoNav Pro.
Korsgott.
Peach of Washington.
J-Car.
Whidbey Island Gal.
CRS 98.
Flagman.
Limax.
Geocaches.
Kitty Quest.
Mountain Bike.
Just Carlo.
Camp Clan.
Antaeus.
Winner. Subway Mark.
Winner Subway dinner. Seebeck Tribe.
Log Work.
Butterfly Girl.
GSM ×2.
Trexer.
Hacker Doc.
B Pendragon.
Railroad.
LG 9000.
Team Noltex.
Terrible Tees.
Just finding our way.
Skyhawker.
UDAC.
You talks to rocks.
Wet Coaster.
Boomer 365.
MC3 Cats.
The glow person of the day. BC Rockcrawler.
Nice. And Kid Vegas 19.
Funny how the listing changed right there. Hey, folks, thanks for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. So if you like the show, please click the Patreon link on the cachingandw.com website. If you didn't like the show, let us know what you want us to talk about. Again, that $1 million guarantee is in place. If you like the vibe, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a review. Now, if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fast, fabulous, fantastic 5-star review. I've been working on that this week. Of course, you can call us 253-693-TFTC and leave a comment or question, or, buy us a Garmin IQ any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingandw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 7 p.m. for a live show and chat. I'm emphasizing that because I need to remember it as well. This show is produced by Chris Humphenauer, Jim Paulwoods, Jay Kennedy, and Brian Lang. It's licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2025 by Chris Humphenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for the after show.
There you go.
Breathe.
Is a Subway dinner better or worse than a gas station tuna?
Better.
Jeannie said that
Blackberry had
Blackberry had Cashberry. Did you use Cashberry?
It was.
I think that was all there was, wasn't there?
It was Cashmate, I thought, but maybe Cashberry. But definitely that. It was one of those two was the app. You know what's funny?
Blackberry with Cashmate.
I think in my very first YouTube video, I'm using it. So I'm thinking I'll have to go back into the beginning of my catalog and see what it was.
Try to see who that young guy is out there caching with it.
Exactly.
Carlos started with his iPhone 3, and still currently do.
Wow.
iPhone 3S was my last iPhone model before I went to Android.
The 3S. That was a good one.
3GS, I think is that the right? I can't remember.
All right. Well, we've got a few FATASI things here. The first one I'm going to pull up is from Kitty Quest. With a FATAS, I collected 25 smiles of various sorts on January 1st. Thought it was a propitious way to start the new 2025 year.
Nice.
Good work.
Propitious.
I think it's propitious. Yeah.
It is propitious.
Great way to use the word a day calendar at the same time.
Right? Well done.
Oh, no.
I'm suspicious if you're propitious.
The next one up is Brylang, who hit 29,000 finds on New Year's Day. That is a busy day.
Wow. I don't know how you do that.
Community celebration event in Ladner, BC. Congrats, Brylang, on that big milestone. Speaking of milestones, Caching Cants is hitting number 5,000 tomorrow.
Impressive.
The virtual in Olympia. Yeah, well done. Lots of milestones going on around us here.
Love it.
What else have we got? Oh, Heather, I've been focusing on Adventure Labs because she'd like to reach 6,000 finds by my event on January 7th. There you go. More
Nice.
milestones.
Heather, tell us your event title and GC code, and we'll let everyone know.
Very good. Very good.
IHAM says Monkey Cakes and I both got our CCE notifications
Oh, nice.
Congrats.
Congrats.
today.
I'll see if I can make those events when you schedule them.
See if you can make the events when they make the events.
I'll see if I can attend. See if I can work them into my schedule.
Seabeck Tribe says the WSGA 48th and OP chapters are hosting their CCE events on January 12th at 9:30 a.m. That's on for the 48 North,
Okay.
and for 2 p.m. for the OP.
Okay, that's a Sunday. It's a week from this Sunday, so
So there's a little bit of driving to get between those two chapters, but you can get two
you
CCEs
can do it.
in one day.
You can do it.
This is Seabeck Tribe also goes on to say this is my 20th year geocaching. We signed up January 1st, 2005. Wow.
That's a
Nice.
big milestone. 20
Must
years
have
of
been 7 years old when you started that.
geocaching. Well, congratulations, Seabeck Tribe, on 20 years of playing the game.
Oh, let's see. Cache Canada says I started in 2012, so I haven't seen a huge amount of change. We started with a Garmin Nuvi for the car.
Right. Yeah, they mentioned. Oh, yeah, right. So that must have been a follow-on comment that we picked earlier. Good. Okay. Dora Moore started at the end of 2010. Did paperless caching with her GPSR for 2 years before upgraded. I've only used my phone for the past 3 years, and I still prefer the Garmin. Yes, she
Mhm.
was saying that she prefers the GPS.
By the way, her event is called Bothell to Beaverton Challenge.
Ooh.
I haven't seen the GC code yet.
Okay.
So
It's
while we're-
probably spread along the entire route.
Yeah.
Probably.
While we're hearing from Heather here, she's Thomas guides are not completely dead. She says our young friend recently became a paramedic. She's come to me for map reading classes to improve her navigation skills. We used my Thomas guide to learn how to get to hospitals.
Neat.
I like
Very
that.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got a GC code here. GC
Go ahead.
Bravo. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
GC Bravo 1 Delta 73 in Beaverton, Oregon.
Awesome. Well, I hope everybody gets a chance to go out there and celebrates with you.
Love it.
Were I near Beaverton, I would come.
Indeed.
Hawaiian Miley made her 1,000th cache at a Cito in Troutdale with the Portland cachers.
Nice.
Fun. Congratulations.
Milestone and cleaning up the game board too. Well done.
Right? That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Um,
Did
yeah.
we say Keats is getting somewhat close to 18,000 finds? And or maybe still somewhat far away. Depends on how you count. I'm not sure which milestone cache to grab. My 15-year geoversary is a little ways away for that.
I don't know what your margin of error is, but I'm close, I'm closer to 18,000 than I've ever been.
That's right. Every day I get closer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Gary says, I attended my first CCE event hosted by a PNW cacher. What is that? C. Baggeson?
I would think
Gasson?
that's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guessing, something like
There you
that.
go.
Yeah.
Congrats. So you would have got your CCE souvenir for that,
That's right.
as well as another notch in the stats for another CCE attended. Congrats.
Komakino wants to know, will an adventure lab count towards a milestone?
So yes, an adventure lab will, because
Oh.
adventure labs are included in your total official count. So
Mhm.
yes, they will count towards a milestone. But what they won't do is light up a new country for you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. So if you go to a new country or even a new state or province, and the only thing you found in them is adventure labs, you haven't found any kind of cache, your official geocaching stats map will not light up that state, province, or country yet. And you definitely won't get the souvenir either. So you have to actually get a cache for that to happen.
They won't what? But will it show up on your milestones
Yes.
as the
You
adventure
can have
lab?
milestones that are adventure labs.
Okay. I guess I haven't, so I don't know. Brian Ling says, what monkey said? And we can just stop there.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Adventure Labs also not show in your milestone list on geocaching.com. I don't know.
I believe they will show up in there. And I'm just going to continue reading. I'm going to
Makino didn't hear what you said anyway. So, okay, thanks.
Continue on. I'm going to look this up.
Got to rewind and watch it back again. Oh, let's see. UDAC says, I hope this early time slot allows for more. Oh, we did that one.
Yep. Because
we're not moving the show now just for UDAC.
That's right. Don't know who we've moved it for, but
yeah. SB Dave says, my first GPSR was a Magellan Sport Track. Toggled cords 1 digit at a time. After a year and a half, I got a serial cord. Printed cache pages. Took me all of 2004 to get until February of 2011 to find 200 caches.
Wow.
Wow.
So I went and checked of my official geocaching.com milestones. None of them are Adventure Labs, but I probably would have intentionally avoided trying to have an Adventure Lab as an official milestone. I usually try and go with more unique cache types. But so yeah, I don't know. That's a good question then to find out. I know they count for sure in your total.
Right.
So I can't see how they wouldn't count as a milestone if that happens to be the cache. The thing to be aware of though is they count weird in your day. And I can't remember if it's the beginning or the end, but if you find Adventure Labs scattered throughout your day and you find geocaches on the same day, all the Adventure Labs will lump together in the sequence you found them, but they will lump together either at the start or the end. I can't remember. But
really?
If you're trying to get a milestone and you're planning to hit your milestone on a specific day, unless you want an Adventure Lab as that milestone, don't find Adventure Labs on the day you're hoping to get your milestone. Because it just
says, my main concern about ALs was if they would show on the geocaching website milestone page, wondering if the AL would show for my 5K if I found one for my 5K.
Sounds like that might be a risk, yeah.
They are a strange beast.
They are.
According to Keats.
Bizarre rules with them. There we go. We've got an official answer from a lackey at HQ. JT Coffee says, yep, they count as milestones. They might not line up the same on GC as they do on Project GC for sure.
Okay.
But they definitely will count as a milestone. So there you go, Komakino. If you are trying to get an Adventure Lab as one of your milestones, I would just suggest that you don't try and mix cache types on that day and you just target ALs for that day.
Komakino asks, is there an icon for it?
Well, since it's the JT Coffee podcast now.
Is that who we moved the podcast for?
That's right.
Yes, we moved it officially for JT Coffee.
Who I will be reaching out to soon to get her back on the show again.
She's apparently on the show right now.
She says it shows as a little green flask. There you go. Awesome.
That sounds good right about
Check
now.
that notebook.
A little green flask sounds like a great idea right now. A little flask of absinthe.
Folks, thank you so much. And patrons, I had a blast last week with all of you on. It went far better than I expected. And when I say that, it went really well. I was hoping that there wasn't going to be a lot of background noise and everything went very well. I was so proud of it.
It was fun.
In fact, you know what? We need to do this more often. So every now and again, we're going to do a patron episode where, you guys are welcome to come in and share your thoughts. So I think it's a lot of fun. And with that, I bid you a good evening. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.